President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Wabba. Labour Day, today is Labour Day, or International Workers' Day, and it's observed each year on the first day of May to celebrate the achievements of the working class. The day, also called May Day, is observed as a public holiday in many countries of the world, including Nigeria, where the federal government has declared Monday and Tuesday as public holidays to mark not just Workers' Day, but also for the Muslim celebration of Eid al-Fitr. This year's May Day commemorations once again highlight the worsening plight of the Nigerian worker, who is still beset by a number of things, including poor remuneration, absence of job protection arising from weak, outdated, and dysfunctional labor laws, and a glaring lack of will to enforce existing labor laws by relevant authorities. Exactly what would they be left celebrating when all the days march past and other observances have been concluded? We're now being joined by President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Wabba, to take a look at the problems and prospects of the Nigerian worker in 2022. Thank you for joining us, Comrade Ayuba Wabba.
Thank you, Dr. Ridwan Abati, for having me, and I wish you and all Nigerian workers and pensioners a happy Workers' Day.
Yes, I listened to you earlier in the day, from your preamble to the conclusion, and you talked about the theme of this year's celebration, and you said, well, it's a day of celebration in the concluding sentences in your preamble, and you said the theme is labor, politics, and quest for good governance and development in Nigeria. Every year, labor is still searching for this good governance and development. Last year, President Buhari, in his May Day message, publicly declared that the government was doing everything to improve workers' welfare and condition in the country. Well, a year later, has that promise been kept? Because I thought your message was more of lamentation than celebration.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ruben Abati. Yes, the theme of this year's May Day is labor politics and the quest for good governance and national development. And I think this theme is very apt, looking at the fact that we are already in another cycle of election, and already the political atmosphere is being charged, and workers cannot be outlookers. Workers are voters, workers are citizens, and basically workers also have a demand. So that actually captures the mood of the moment. Looking at the last 1 year, and also the situation of Nigerian workers, but particularly also pensioners, you know, the two goes together. Workers, every worker is a potential pensioner, and therefore the two will continue to both go together, and will continue to speak and advocate on the two issues. First, the essence of the May Day, one is about celebrating workers that create the wealth of every nation, including our nation, Nigeria. Celebrate the pensioners that have put in their best in the development of our country. And importantly, it's also a day set aside to now canvass for new issues, issues that have not been attended to, as you mentioned, particularly issues that borders on the issue of welfare, working condition, how the system can be strengthened. And if you look at it carefully, we have not been selfish. Particularly, we can refer to the education sector. You said you have actually listened to my address. We have not been selfish. Part of the issue that is very germane in the education subsector is the issue of funding. And the issue of funding dates back to 2009, where there was a panel by the federal government under Mahmoud Yakub, the current INEC chairman, to actually assess the needs of all our universities. That is called need assessment, where I think the total requirement is about 1.6 trillion, which went to FEC, and it was approved by FEC. And then a collective bargaining agreement was signed that every year, 200 billion would be dedicated actually to make our universities functional, teaching and learning facilities. So we have re-echoed that. We have also re-echoed the fact that the condition of Nigerian workers across all the sectors have become very pathetic because of the twin issue of, one, inflation, which have been skyrocketing, hyperinflation, it has already eroded the gains of even the 30,000 minimum wage. Because everything that we use, in most cases, some of those things have some components of importation. And secondly is the free fall of our currency. If there is a free fall and you import products, including the so-called petroleum products, you know better, because today I'm sure you may not be running on the power grids. How much is the cost of diesel? It's hovering around 720 naira per liter. We are aware of what is happening currently in the medium and small-scale enterprises, where working hours are being reduced because of the issue of power, because they have to run their production on generators. And basically, they cannot afford. It's actually very high. We have seen the situation in banks where working hours are being reduced. Ultimately, workers also lose their jobs. So basically, those are some of the issues that are very germane. Economy, issue of security. As we speak, I can share with you some of the very Herculean tasks that workers have gone through. Despite the insecurity, despite the fact that some of our workers have not been able to earn even the minimum wage. 4 states are yet even to commence, but yet they still go to work. We should celebrate them. That is why we are having this May Day. Yes, to continue to flag off the issue, but also not to continue to lament, because it's another cycle of election. And this time around, our focus is not actually to look at the platform. No, it's to look at the person. Because the parties are now one and the same. People, they camp in the morning to one party. In the evening, they come to another. In all the parties, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. And therefore, our focus, and I'm very elated when I saw workers parading their PVC card, even at the march past. That is to say that workers are becoming more conscious to their rights as citizens to also choose leaders that can be able to address those humongous challenges. So all those issues were flagged off, but not only flagged off, we have also tried to provide solutions. For instance, in the issue of oil and gas, we have said clearly, what has happened in Imo, and where we have also people refining illegally, why can't we organize them and form nucleus of these entrepreneurs, regulate them, give them crude oil, let them refine under a regulated condition, they will add to the economy. It's not rocket science, particularly the issue of diesel, which is the easiest actually to refine. So those are some of the very profound arguments that we have propounded on this event of the May Day, not only to complain, to lament, but also to provide solutions. But importantly, also as citizens, I've also shared many countries where workers have played an important role in the political evolution of those countries, and they are reaping it. Today in UK, you don't discuss the issue of minimum wage, because their minimum wage has an automatic trigger that is tied to the inflation. Once the inflation goes to a certain percentage, the minimum wage automatically will be adjusted. That's why you don't hear the issue of minimum wage in the UK. How did they get that? It was through political engagement. Labour Party in the UK was formed by the unions. They have held power. You know that this is how all those profound issues and laws came about. I've referred to the issue of America, where if in this dispensation, the role that workers played in support of Biden. And he said clearly that he's not ashamed to be called a worker or a union president. And now he's proposing $15 per hour as minimum wage. These are some of the issues. This is the conversation. So I think we should be commended that despite the challenges, we have not actually sit down and look and just float our hands in the air. What we have done is also to bring something to the table. On the issue of insecurity, you are aware that we organized the Peace and Security Summit. And the report was provided. We don't only provide a report, we also provide solution and implementation strategy. And all of these have been circulated very widely to all that are important and central in the issue of addressing the issue of insecurity. So Abati, I think workers have paid their dues. Unions have also paid their dues. We will not relent until we are able to make Nigeria a better country.
Yes, okay. I will take on some of the issues, one after the other, because I recall you also spoke about crude oil theft and the artisanal refineries. That was when you were talking about the need to organize them. But what strategies, do you have in place as organized labor to mobilize the Nigerian worker to vote with those PVCs, that they were brandishing during the march past, considering the fact that voter apathy has been a major problem? And I also want to draw your attention to the fact that today, at the May Day event, there was heavy presence of big shots from the All Progressives Congress. The chairman of the party was even there. You know, about 3 ministers were there. They were all led to the place by the vice president. Why only APC? You didn't invite members of other political parties? Quickly.
Simple and direct. The May Day platform is for everybody. We never invited everybody. Everybody that want to come can actually come to celebrate and hear what we have. Importantly, this is an election cycle, as you said. And basically, we will welcome everybody that want to engage us, that want to hear what we have, that want to listen to our Charter of Demand. As we speak, already workers have a Charter of Demand that came out from the political conference of both the TUC and NLC. How we are going to do this is simple. We have a very large voting population. Workers and pensioners alone, I can tell you that workers, 12 million that are actually wage earners. And we have 8 million pensioners. Put them together with their family. We are already a sizable population that got determined every election. If there is free and fair election, why do we want to engage this time around? Well, with the amendment of the Electoral Act, I think there is some kind of confidence. Voter apathy will always be there if people perceive that the votes will not count. That one man, one vote, one woman, one vote will not be the case if people go to vote. That is where there is worker apathy. And that is what we are doing now. We are mobilizing. We are galvanizing. 2 days ago, I actually constituted the political commission of NLC. We have one at the national. Constitutionally, it's there in our constitution. We then constituted that of the state, 36 states, and Abuja, 37. We have constituted also that of the local government, 774. We are going into the wards. So consciously, people must also play their role effectively to bring leaders that will be ready also to work and address those issues. This is where we are. And therefore, that is why this time around, with the new electoral law, which says that if accreditation is carried out in a particular polling booth, there will be electronic transfer of how many number of people that have been accredited, and that will actually give us also the number of voters. Hitherto, it wasn't like this, where people that go to the polling station to be accredited, at the end of the day, you hear just humongous figures of people that have voted. If actually Nigerians want to now drive the process, I think this is the right time. And I think this is the right time for every Nigerian not to just fold your arm, because I think gone are the days when there is an increase in fuel price or there is an increase in tariff of electricity. People call, where is Labour? Where is Labour is saying now, let us come together. Let us form an alliance. Let all citizens be conscious. And let us look at individuals, not party this time around, Ruben Abati. Secondly, you must also, I think you should not also forget, in May Day like this, people also that are from our extraction actually also use this platform to actually celebrate with workers. Comrade Adams, as we are aware, he was the former president of NLC. Not only that, Abdullah Adamu, go through his history. He was an executive of NTUC. He is also from the trade union. And not only that, without even invitation, basically you know that people like that will always actually associate with workers, will be there to fraternize with workers. So I challenge all political parties, any function of the unions or NLC, make yourself available so that you will hear what we are saying. You will look at our Charter of Demand and you can be able to also put forward candidates that meet our standard and requirement. And Nigerian workers, Nigerian progressives, civil society allies, we are trying now to galvanize and put our head in one basket without lamentation so that we can actually focus on the next election. I think it will be indolent on our own part if election is next year and you expect workers just to sit down and look. I don't think we'll actually continue in that direction. So for those that have voters apathy, I think the good news is that let us test run this new electoral law, the new electoral reform, which has gone through many processes. You remember that I think from 2015 to date, this is the first time we have that act signed into law. And therefore, let us actually experiment it. And let us not be lukewarm. Let everybody, don't go and agonize. Let us organize. And I gave the example of America, but if you have not forgotten, and how the American Federation of Labor, our counterpart, I was there in Atlanta, Georgia, when they did primaries for two candidates that meet their criteria. One of them was Bernie Sanders and the current president, Joe Biden. In Atlanta, CBTA did that. And I was very surprised. At the end of the day, actually, Joe Biden won the primaries. And they say, well, they are going to support him because both Joe Biden and Ben Sanders meet their criteria. And that is how they went to work. They call it Work in America. Every worker must actually work assiduously to bring 4 voters. And profoundly, he has said so without mixing words, that he is a president that had the full support of workers. So we cannot undermine all of that. We have many examples. President Lula is from the workers group. He is the president of CUT Brazil, the counterpart of NLC. He formed the Workers' Party, galvanized workers that have suffered, that have been neglected, that capitalists have so subjected. And in 2002, you are aware, using that platform, they also try to change the negative narrative. So basically, that is why we are not fixated on party, no, because the party are the same. They are mere platforms for people to actually acquire political power. We are looking at persons, we are looking at individuals. Even Labour Party, if they bring a candidate that does not meet our requirement and standards, we'll jettison that and clearly say that Nigerian workers are not supporting that candidate because of the fact that we have clear objective of what we want to achieve. We have clear charter of demand, and basically we must also continue to hold our politicians accountable if we want a better system, a better government. So basically that is why some of those dignitaries are there. It's an election cycle, and our doors are open. The May Day is for everybody. In many states, some of the governors ran away. Workers are having rally, they run away. But in some of the states, those that are aligned to workers, they actually find way to go there. Because some of them have nothing to actually tell the workers. That's why they run away. So you can do your analysis, and you can come up with those that have actually disappeared, even from the May Day. Globally, around the world, every right-thinking citizen will actually celebrate workers. We build the bridges. We build the roads. We teach our students. We provide the best health care. Even our military, they are members of the unions, and therefore they secure us. So how can we not just have one day to celebrate them? Everybody should have been at the Eagle Square today to celebrate workers, because it's about celebrating the working class, their tenacity, their sacrifice to making Nigeria what it is even today, even in the mix of those challenges. So Abati, these are the arguments.
Yes, comrade, you dwelt, for some time on the issue of the national minimum wage. And you said that governors who have refused to pay the national minimum wage or the arrears of pension, as in Abia State, failure to address national minimum wage as in Taraba and Zamfara and some other states, that Labour will either go to the streets or explore legal options. Well, how do you intend to go about this? Because we've been on this national minimum wage matter for quite a while.
No, the two will go together. As I speak to you, you are aware that workers in Cross River State have been on strike for almost more than 1 month. In all those states, there are agitations. But also, provided in the minimum wage law this time around, the act that has been signed into law by Mr. President, there are repercussions if you don't implement as and when due, including paying arrears commensurate to the prevailing interest rate in our banks. We will also explore that, and we have already started legally. So we'll be on the streets canvassing this issue. We'll also speak to their conscience. But importantly also, we'll test our laws in the law courts to be able to get justice for these workers.
Well, one of the things you addressed was social protection. I heard you when you were saying that Nigeria devotes just about 2% of GDP to social protection, which is one of the lowest rates in the world. But I then also listened to the Vice President when it came to respond to some of your points. And it dwelt heavily on social protection and listed all the things that this administration has done, from Empower to payroll support system to school feeding program, to things that the government did to help workers during COVID. And he talked about what sort of politics can bring the good governance that you're talking about. And he was saying a progressive agenda, and that Labour has always been on the side of the progressives, and that this administration is a progressive administration. And then, of course, as he was rounding up, he said reforms take time. And he appealed to ASU, he appealed to Labour to realize that reform is intergenerational. That was the phrase I think I recall him using. How did you feel, after his speech? Did you think that he was engaging in an argument with the points that you and Quadri Olaleye, the TUC president, raised?
Thank you, Abati, once again. the issue of social protection, the quotation you made is actually from ILO, International Labour Organization, which is the authority of the UN that actually can speak to the issue of social protection globally. It's obvious and it's a fact that what we dedicate to social protection in Nigeria, looking at our population of 200 million people, is not only low, but is not based on empirical data. What do I mean by empirical data? We must have a data of poor or the poor. We must have those that are unemployed. We must have a data for the destitutes and the less privileged. And therefore, we should have a data, and then essentially we can then target them. But what we have been doing actually is to do all those things without credible data that can actually address also those issues. And I think this is what we have raised very fundamentally, that under the ILO law, which have been quoted, and what is being used to assess the impact of our social protection, is in the COVID-19, it has exposed a lot of inadequacies of our social protection system. You saw what happened when some of those stores were actually broken in by Nigerians. It tells you about what the issues are. That what we are doing, yes, we are doing, but it's not enough. And basically, we need to do more. And basically also, if you look at the statistics about what have been posited about the unemployment situation in Nigeria, in fact, one of the very profound global respected agencies propounded that if nothing is done, in fact, by the end of 2023, we'll be approaching the 40% unemployment rate. And that can even be worse if nothing is done. So basically, we are looking at this from the point of being well informed in terms of international labor standards that addresses the fundamental issue of social protection. He also said, and I think he agreed with what we said, that social protection in key sectors is one, the issue of universal health coverage. Health is a human right. It's a necessity. Whether you have money or not, health will not actually consider whether you are poor or you are rich before it's come knocking. And therefore, in many climes, whether you are poor or you are rich, through the health insurance scheme, you can be able to access quality health care. Certainly, our coverage up till now is not up to 10%. Those are some of the issues. What about retirement benefit, particularly for the informal sector? Yes, we have the pension scheme, and also we have the informal pension scheme. What have been the coverage? In 200 million Nigerians, how many are covered? These are the fundamental issues. Yes, we are doing something, but I think we can also expand the scope of what we are doing so that many people can then be covered. And I think he reiterated that, and that is an agenda also that is actually contained in our Charter of the Man. And we will be ready to actually provide a blueprint when it comes to the time to engage on those issues, because there will be a lot of engagement by NLC and organized labor. We'll actually have many town hall meetings where people that are serious and people that we want to take serious will be invited also. And we'll try to interrogate all of this across all the stratas. So basically, this is to just give them information and also to instruct some commitment on what can be done. Because about whether you like it or not, the problem of Nigeria can be solved, can be fixed. It just depends on what policy option do we have. And we have many options. And therefore, we'll be approaching the table with some options that we think can work. Because as I shared just recently, even my grandmother in the village knows that the problem with Nigeria had been power. Because she saw when there was power and she saw when there is no power. The difference between my grandmother and somebody that will offer leadership is to tell me how he will resolve the issue. Not to say, yes, we have power problem, I will resolve it. How? It's the how that is the problem. It's the how that Nigerians want to hear. To interrogate the how, using empirical basis. This is where we are. So basically, we are so passionate, and many Nigerians are passionate. But as I said, yes, we are here. There is another cycle of election.
Well, comrade.
Nigeria is not in short supply of people that can actually fix some of those challenges. It's just giving them the opportunity, I think, around the world, because I've visited almost 70 countries around the world. There is no country you go that you not have a Nigerian that you'll be proud of. In all the professions, they're actually leading.
Well, comrade.
And you know that better than me. So basically, what is then the problem? If they are leading other economies, they are providing solutions to other economies, how do we attract them? How do we bring them in? And how can we make our politics also to accommodate such people? This is what we'll be discussing, and this is our perspective to resolving some of those issues.
Okay, there was a question you raised in the course of your address, which I would like you to comment further on. You asked the question, why are we becoming more vulnerable and terrorists are becoming bolder? You raised that question yourself, but before you moved on to issues of social infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other, why do you think the terrorists are becoming bolder and Nigerians have become more vulnerable?
Abati, I don't have the answer. That's why I raised the question. It's what is happening. And I think we have many experts in the field. We have flagged off a question of what we think is very fundamental. For you to travel from here to Gusau, because we don't have an airport in Gusau, my colleagues were telling me the Herculean tax they actually had to pass through, including sacrifices, including that they don't know whether they will actually reach Abuja safely to celebrate the May Day. This is the situation. And therefore, these are issues that cannot be taken for granted. So basically, this is the challenge. I can say clearly, Abati, if terrorists will have the infantry to now attack a moving train, I think all of us should be concerned. Or the infantry of trying to stop a moving plane at an airport, all of us should be concerned. So it is also out of our concern for some of these happenings that we have actually flagged up this issue, hoping that it will actually stimulate discussion. Experts will also bring solution. But importantly, I think also there are many things that can be done, especially the deployment of technology, which many have said it is now high time to just not rely on this issue of kinetic approach, but we should also deploy technology to be able to fish out where they are, know their coordinate location, and we should be able to look at how best those issues, and we should also be proactive. Importantly, I think some of those security details, I'm not sure I'm an expert in that field, but I think we have many experts that are also making wave around the world, and I'm sure that they will be able to make their input into the discourse. But we have flagged up the issue, and it's actually towards also finding solution.
Well, thank you very much, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Wabba. I join other Nigerians to wish you and every Nigerian worker happy Workers' Day. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Ruben Abati.
Thank you, Dr.
Ruben Abati. I appreciate this wonderful platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.